Next. Good evening. The Florida Department of Transportation would like to welcome you to the public hearing for US 98 State Road 30 PD&E study. My name is Alan Van, and I'm DOT's project manager and will be moderating tonight's public hearing. The public hearing is for the financial project identification number 437-179-1-22-01. And the efficient transportation decision-making identification number is 14476. On behalf of the Florida Department of Transportation, we would like to thank you for your interest in this study. I'm being supported by the representatives of FDOT District 3 and the consultant team. We are hosting this public hearing in person at Vision Church in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, and virtually through GoToWebinar. I would also like to take a moment and thank any elected officials who are in attendance for tonight's hearing. We appreciate your interest and involvement in this project. We will now turn our attention to the narrated public hearing presentation.
Good evening. The Florida Department of Transportation would like to welcome you to the public hearing for US 98 State Road 30 Project Development and Environment, or PD&E study. Financial Project Identification Number 437-179-1-22-01 and Efficient Transportation Decision-Making, or ETDM, number 14476. In addition to the PD&E staff here, a representative from the District Right-of-Way Department is here and will be available after the public hearing if you have questions regarding right-of-way acquisition on this project. A transcript is being made of all oral proceedings and will be part of the public record for this project. Before we begin the presentation, here are a few details to help you participate in this hybrid public hearing through GoToWebinar. On your computer or device screen, you should see an information window that looks like the one shown on the right side. To listen to the public hearing, your computer or device speakers are selected by default. If you prefer to listen by phone, select Phone Call in the audio pane of the control panel and dial in using the information displayed. All virtual attendees will be placed in listen-only mode throughout the public hearing. At a later date, we will provide responses to written comments that were submitted during online registration and those submitted at the in-person venue. The comment period begins as soon as the presentation has ended. Verbal comments from the in-person meeting will be addressed first. Verbal comment requests submitted during online registration will be addressed second. Providing verbal comments using GoToWebinar is simple. First, you must request to speak when registering to attend. During the comment period, the organizer will call your name that you provided at registration and unmute you. If the microphone icon is green, you are ready to make your comment. If the microphone icon is orange, you will need to click the microphone icon once, and it will notify you that you are unmuted, and then you can provide your comment. You will not be on any camera at any time if you join online. During the public comment period, after the formal presentation, in-person participants will be called upon to speak first, followed by the virtual online speakers who wish to speak. If you dialed into the public hearing by telephone, your phone was automatically placed in listen-only mode and will remain in listen-only mode throughout the public hearing. Those attending in person and virtually may make a public comment when called upon. A recording of the webinar will be available on the project website 3 days after the hearing. You can also call or email the FDOT project manager after the public hearing to request additional project information. All comments must be submitted or postmarked on or before Monday, November 24th, 2025, to be part of the official public hearing record. Prior to the public hearing, draft engineering and environmental documents were made available for public review at the Walton County Coastal Branch Library on October 16, 2025, and will be on display until Monday, November 24, 2025 at the same location. The Walton County Coastal Branch Library is located at 437 Greenway Trail, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. Public hearing documents are available by request from the FDOT project manager, Alan Van. You may also view project documents tonight at the in-person public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is to share information with the general public about the proposed improvement, its conceptual design, all alternatives under study, and the potential beneficial and adverse social, economic, and environmental impacts upon the community. The public hearing also serves as an official forum, providing an opportunity for members of the public to express their opinions regarding the project. This study satisfies the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, and other policy regulations and procedures. There are three primary components to tonight's hearing. First, the open house, which occurred prior to this presentation, where you were invited to view the project displays and speak directly with the project team and provide your comments in writing or to the court reporter. Second, this presentation, which will explain the project purpose and need, study alternatives, potential impacts both beneficial and adverse, and proposed methods to mitigate adverse project impacts. And third, a formal comment period following this presentation. For those attending in person, you will have the opportunity to provide oral statements at the microphone, or you may provide your comments directly to the court reporter or in writing. For those attending in listen-only mode, comments may be emailed or mailed to the FDOT project manager. The contact information can be found in the handout located in the control panel during this session, which you can download onto your own device. You may also visit www.nwflroads.com/calendar for more details. This PD&E study has been conducted by the FDOT District 3 in compliance with all applicable federal environmental laws and pursuant to 23 United States Code Section 327 and the Implementing Memorandum of Understanding between FDOT and the Federal Highway Administration, signed on May 26, 2022, establishing the FDOT Office of Environmental Management in Tallahassee as the approving authority. This public hearing was advertised consistent with the federal and state requirements shown on the slide and is being held to provide you with the opportunity to comment on this project. Public participation at this hearing is encouraged and solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. Persons wishing to express their concerns about the Title VI may do so by contacting either the FDOT District 3 office or the Tallahassee office of the Florida Department of Transportation. This contact information is displayed at the public hearing on this screen and also provided in the project handout. FDOT is conducting a PD&E study for this project. The PD&E process evaluates potential impacts to determine an alternative using continuous community outreach to ensure that all interested parties have meaningful participation in the process. Public input and information received at the public hearing will be taken into consideration when preparing the final documents for this study. A virtual project update was held on August 17, 2023. Following tonight's public hearing, FDOT will finalize the study documents and conclude the study in the summer of 2026. This project is funded for the PD&E study phase and design within the 5-year FDOT work program. It is currently not funded for right-of-way or construction within the 5-year work program. The study limits extend from County Road 30A near Sandestin to west of Phillips Inlet Bridge in Walton County, approximately 19.4 miles in length. The purpose of this project is to evaluate capacity needs on US 98 from west of County Road 30A in Sandestin to west of Phillips Inlet Bridge in Walton County. This project is needed to evaluate traffic congestion concerns on US 98. This segment is projected to operate at a deficient level of service in the year 2040 if no capacity improvements are constructed. This route also provides a critical east-west corridor connection to US 331, which provides an important northbound hurricane evacuation route. The existing US 98 roadway is a 4-lane divided facility. The existing urban typical section features 4 travel lanes. The outside lanes are 12 feet. The inside lanes are 11 feet to 12 feet and divided by a 45 to 46 foot grassed median with curb and gutter and a curb inlet drainage system. The urban typical begins at Thompson Road to Veterans Road and from West Shore Drive to the eastern termini. The rural typical section features 4 12-foot travel lanes and a 62 to 64-foot grassed median with paved shoulders along the corridor. The rural typical section begins at the western termini to Thompson Road and from Veterans Road to West Shore Drive. The bridges over Peach Creek, bridge numbers 600144 and 600145, are located within the rural typical and are structurally sound. The bridges consist of 4 travel lanes with inside and outside shoulders as well as barrier walls. The preferred alternative proposes to widen US 98 State Road 30 from 4 to 6 lanes and a flyover from eastbound US 98 to northbound US 331. The preferred alternative includes modifications to the Peach Creek Bridge, intersection improvements, access management, and multimodal facilities. Please see the concept boards located at the in-person facility and provided online in the documents chat box or at www.nwflroads.com/calendar for easy viewing for more detail. The preferred alternative was developed to widen the roadway to the inside median to minimize the need for right-of-way. The preferred alternative consists of 3 typical sections: an urban, a suburban, and a rural. The urban typical begins at US 98 from County Road 30A to Public's entrance at South Walton and from Red Bud Lane to the western project limit. The typical includes a 6-lane roadway with inside and outside curb and gutter, a raised grassed median, 6-foot concrete sidewalk along the north side of the roadway, and a 12-foot shared use path along the south side of the roadway. The suburban typical begins at US 98 from the Public's entrance at South Walton to 0.5 miles east of the Public's entrance at South Walton and 1.5 miles west of the Watersound Parkway to Red Bud Lane. The typical is a 6-lane roadway with inside curb and gutter, outside flush shoulder, a raised grassed median, and an area for a 12-foot shared use path. The rural typical begins along US 98 from 0.5 miles east of Public's entrance at South Walton to 1.5 miles west of Watersound Parkway. This typical includes a 6-lane roadway with inside and outside flush shoulders and grassed median and an area for a 12-foot shared use path. The bridge typical falls within the rural typical at US 98 over Peach Creek. Therefore, the typical is a 6-lane roadway with inside and outside shoulders and barrier walls. A 12-foot shared-use pedestrian bridge with barrier walls is proposed on the south side of US 98 over Peach Creek. The preferred alternative will not alter the current FDOT access management classification. US 98 will retain the designation of Access Management Class 3. It is recommended that 7 signals be converted into R cuts, as well as 1 unsignalized full median opening. They are Musset Bayou Road, Sugar Drive, County Road 393, Old Blue Mountain Road, County Road 283, County Road 395, McDavis Boulevard, Watersound Parkway, and County Road 30A East. An important element of any PD&E study is the evaluation of potential project impacts and benefits. A wide range of environmental resources was evaluated, including various social, cultural, natural, and physical features. Engineering and traffic factors were also considered. Impacts to resources for the preferred alternative are further discussed on the following slides. A comparison of the impacts for the alternatives are provided in project documents. The total estimated project cost of the preferred alternative is approximately $400 million. Based on the project evaluation, the department has determined there are no adverse or disproportionate impacts to low-income, minority, or protected population groups by the proposed improvements. The preferred alternative will primarily take place within the existing right-of-way, with the exception of 24 parcels. One of the unavoidable consequences on a project such as this is the necessary relocation of residences or businesses. On this project, we anticipate the relocation of 2 businesses and 0 residences. All right-of-way acquisition will be conducted in accordance with Florida Statute 339.09 and the Federal Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970, commonly known as the Uniform Act. If you are required to make any type of move as a result of a Department of Transportation project, you can expect to be treated in a fair and helpful manner and in compliance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance Act. If a move is required, you will be contacted by an appraiser who will inspect your property. We encourage you to be present during the inspection and provide information about the value of your property. You may also be eligible for relocation advisory services and payment benefits. If you are being moved and you are unsatisfied with the department's determination of your eligibility for payment or the amount of that payment, you may appeal that determination. You will be promptly furnished necessary forms and notified of the procedure to be followed in making that appeal. A special word of caution. If you move before you receive notification of the relocation benefits that you might be entitled to, your benefits may be jeopardized. A representative from the District Right-of-Way Department is here tonight and will be available to provide you with further assistance if you have questions regarding business relocations on this project. Section 106 of the Natural Historic Preservation Act requires agencies to consider the effects of their actions on cultural resources. One historic site within the project area, the Camp Helen State Park, is eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. However, no adverse effects to this resource will occur due to the preferred alternative. Concurrence from the State Historic Preservation Officer on the cultural resource findings was received in February of 2024. There will not be any right-of-way acquisition at Camp Helen State Park, Deer Lake State Park, or Topsail Hill Preserve State Park, resulting in a no-use determination. We are seeking a de minimis determination for the Point Washington State Forestry related to Section 4F protections. Encroachments into the Point Washington State Forestry is depicted on a display board. We encourage you to review and provide any comment. No degradation of water quality is anticipated as a result of this project. The project area has a 0.50 acres of wetland impacts within the project corridor. There is anticipated 22.16 acres of other surface water impacts due to the widening footprint. These are not expected to substantially affect the stability or overall quality of the surrounding resources. There are no essential fish habitats present along the corridor. No coastal barrier resource system impacts exist within the project. There are 3 outstanding Florida waters: Topsail Hill, Lake Powell, Phillips Inlet, and Point Washington. Only Point Washington is impacted by the project, and those impacts are minor. The project was evaluated for potential federal and state threatened and endangered species. The project may affect, but is not likely to adversely affect, the telephus spurge, reticulated flatwood salamander, and eastern indigo snake. No adverse effect is anticipated by the project on the gopher tortoise, Florida pine snake, Florida sandhill crane, Florida burrowing owl, little blue heron, tricolored heron, southeastern American kestrel, roseate spoonbill, and least tern. No effect is anticipated on the other 21 species and 20 plants which may occur within the project area. Within the project limits, a total of 5 sites were identified as having the potential for contamination. The level of potential contamination risk for 3 of the sites is medium. The remaining 2 sites are high risk. During the design phase, these sites will be further evaluated. The preferred alternative is expected to have no significant contamination impacts. 6 noise wall barriers are recommended for further evaluation in the project's final design phase adjacent to the Watersound Apartments, lofts at Seacrest Beach, Rosemary Beach Community, the Point Community, South Walton Lakeshore Drive Community, and Waterview at Inlet Beach Community. Access management classes are used to determine the locations of driveway connections, median openings, and traffic signals to improve safety and traffic flow. The current US 98 State Road 30 facility is in Access Class 3. The preferred alternative will remain Access Class 3. Proposed access management modifications are on display at the in-person facility and can be found at www.nwflroads.com/calendar. The preferred alternative will not change the context classification of the roadway. If you have a concern regarding the access to your parcel, please provide your comments. Thank you. That concludes the formal presentation. We will now begin the public comment period of the public hearing. The next step is to incorporate your input on this public hearing into our decision-making process. After the comment period closes and your input has been considered, a decision will be made and the final PD&E document will be sent to the FDOT Office of Environmental Management for location and design concept acceptance. Please note that we will not be responding to your comments and questions today, but we will respond in writing at a later date. Anyone desiring to make a statement will now have an opportunity to do so. There are multiple ways you may provide your comments: written, verbally, or on.
Sorry, that last slide was cut off. Anyone desiring to make a statement will now have an opportunity to do so. There are multiple ways for you to provide your comments: written, verbally, or online. We will now call upon the in-person participants who have requested to speak. As I call your name, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address. Please let us know if you represent an organization, municipality, or other public body. We ask that you limit the comment to 3 minutes. First, I have Celeste Cabina. Hope I said that correctly.
Perfect. Yeah, Celeste Cabina, and I am at 412 Hilltop Drive, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, 32459. And I am representing an organization, Beach to Bay Connection Incorporated. And I have y'all mentioned de minimis impacts to Point Washington State Forest. Is there an estimate of how many acres of the forest may be impacted? And I guess y'all said y'all weren't going to answer the questions, but I just want to put that out there. How many acres of Point Washington State Forest? And then I'd like to make the statement that I think that really does need to be at a minimum. And my other question is, I see this is just the design, and so I guess that's at the point where you're going to, hopefully limit the amount of impacts to any environmental issues. And then the right-of-way construction project complete. Is there any sort of timeline for the next 3 phases, and when would y'all anticipate the beginning of, you know, the first shovel of dirt being turned over, kind of thing? You know, that's kind of just a time frame question. I guess somebody, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. We will respond in writing to you. Next, I have Mr. Ryan Douglas.
Thank you. Ryan Douglas, Regional Utilities, Local Water and Sewer Utility. The R-cut intersections, hopefully I'm characterizing that properly, the bulbed U-turn areas appear to encompass the entire right-of-way. A few locations had some minor right-of-way acquisitions, apparently only for the roadway itself. I wanted to speak to the fact that there's a lot of utilities out there. What's being done for that? I presume some right-of-way acquisition can be done to accommodate that, but wanted to make sure I put that in writing also, but I wanted to make sure we got that on the record.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, I have Mr. Chance Powell.
Hello, Chance Powell, Walton County engineer, and also a resident right here real close to the right of way. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for putting this on, and thank DOT for considering this project. Very much needed an improvement to this section of 98. But two real comments that I want to make. We might make other comments that we provide to you guys in writing. But one, the multi-use path that's shown right now is shown on the south side for the entire length of the project. I realize that the multi-use path is on the south side, west of 30A on the west end of this project, and on the south side on the east end of the project. However, for the rural section that you have, that is basically between the two publics that are about 13 miles of this 19-mile project, that rural section, the only two things on the south side other than the state forest is the wastewater treatment facility, that's at Regional Utilities, and this church. On the other side of the road, we have 2 schools, sports complex, multiple residential, units, apartments, and homes. So I'd like for you guys to consider moving that multi-use path for that rural section to the other side, being that there's good opportunities for it to change at the east and west end. I think it would do a lot better to serve the public in getting kids to school. There's some subdivisions that's real close to those schools that they could ride bikes on that multi-use path without having to cross the street. The other thing I wanted to mention is the R-cut that's currently proposed at Sugar Drive, and there is not an R-cut proposed at Thompson Road. Thompson Road does provide through access all the way to County Road 30A. However, Sugar Drive does not. It's a dead end run. I think there should be some consideration for that connection at Thompson Road. We only have a few connection opportunities between 98 and 30A, and I believe Thompson Road needs to be considered a little higher on the list than some of the others there. I appreciate it. Thank you all very much. Thank
you, sir. I had some that requested online. William Lindsay. Tim Norris. Does anyone else desire to speak? Hearing none, now I'm going to turn it over to our online moderator, Anna Linehan, to call on those who would like to comment virtually. Anna?
Thank you, Alan. For those wishing to offer public comments virtually, I will call your name and then I will unmute you. Make sure to also unmute your microphone on your end using the GoToWebinar control panel as shown on this slide. When it is your turn to speak, please state your name and address before making your comment. If you represent an organization, municipality, or any other public body, please provide that information as well. Again, before you speak, make sure you are not self-muted. Click the microphone to make it green. If you did not ask to speak when you registered for the hearing, but you would like to do so now, please use the raise your hand feature, and I will call on you once we have heard from those who have previously registered. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes, and before you speak, make sure you are not self-muted, which you can do again by clicking on the microphone icon in the control panel. The first person registered to make a public statement was Barbara Morano. Barbara, I do not see your name on the attendees, but if you are in attendance under another name, please raise your hand and I will call you. The second registrant was John King. I do not see John King in attendance, but if you are registered under a different name, please raise your hand and I will call on you. And our next speaker is John Freer. John, I do not see you in attendance, but if you are registered under another name, please raise your hand and I will call on you. The hands that I see online is Tracy Ober. I'm going to unmute you. Please unmute yourself and you are free to speak. Tracy, if you can hear me, I see that your hand is up. You're self-muted. If you press the microphone when it turns green, you are free to make a comment. All right, the next hand that I see raised is Bob Batchelor. I am unmuting you now. Please feel free to unmute yourself to make your comment.
Okay, is my microphone working?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Oh, super. Okay. First of all, I just want to tell you that about 15 minutes in, the slideshow and the audio stopped. So half of the presentation was not heard or seen. Number two, a question that I have specifically because you talked about Thompson Road. Are there going to be more traffic lights installed as a part of this project, or how are we going to do left turns and that sort of thing, both, going north and south across 98? That is going to be traffic lights, or is it going to be roundabouts? I sent Alan a couple of links to projects that were done out west that were roundabouts at intersections. And being stationed in the UK, we got used to roundabouts, and they have some up in Boston. So I offer that as a suggestion, perhaps. I don't know if that would work or not, because we Yanks don't really know how to use roundabouts very well. That's my primary comment.
Thank you very much for your comment, and the presentation will be recorded and available online after tonight.
Okay, thanks.
All right, that looks like everybody who had a raised hand. This concludes the virtual public comments, and I'm going to hand it back to you, Alan.
Thanks, Anna. All written comments must be postmarked or emailed to me no later than Monday, November 24th, 2025 to be made part of the project record. My contact information is shown on this slide and is also located in the handout. You may also visit the project website at www.nwflroads/calendar.com to view documents and submit comments related to this project. The exact transcript of this hearing's oral proceedings, together with all written material received as part of the hearing record and all studies, displays, and informational material provided at the hearing will be made part of the decision-making process and will be available for review upon request after Monday, November 24th. This concludes the public comment period. Thank you for attending this public hearing and provided your input into this project. It is now 6:35, and I hereby officially close the public hearing for the US 98 PD&E study. Thank you, and please drive carefully.